Hey people, what's going on? Broken Puppet back with another video for you today. This one's a really fun one. It's a super old school kind of classic Cobra, so it's going to be really nice, big, colourful, nice kind of sort of shape to it. Really fun one to do. If it's your first time to my channel, make sure you click subscribe. I've got hundreds of tutorials for you guys. But for now people, here we go. Old School Cobra. So as I mark this out, I've just got a pencil to start with. I'm going to be using pencil and some marker pens. Nothing crazy. So here we go. I'm going to start off, say, around here, I think. Get me a nice kind of sort of oval shape like this. Now it's going to be the rough sort of head for it. Once I've got the head, I'm going to bring this line coming off the back of it like this. This is going to curve around. And come inwards, kind of like this. Get the one round the back here, I'm going to bring another line. It's going to cut through this oval shape like here. So you're going to cut through here roughly. And kind of bridge down just a little bit for now. Don't worry about where it kind of goes to. Just kind of bring that line roughly down there. So basically the head is going to be the outside part of these sort of side parts, and then going to use underbelly, which is going to come off the back of this. So I'm going to bring a line cutting through here, cut through, say about halfway through this kind of circle, so around here. So I'm going to come down, and this is going to go down into his underbelly bit. So I'm going to mark that down. I'm going to have a secondary line, which is going to come here, and it's going to curve down. And once we get to about here, it's going to get thinner. So it's going to start off thick here, and then it's going to get thinner. Because the idea is you're going to see his belly from the front view on this bit. And as we get here, it's going to be like sort of side angle. As you start going around the belly, and it curves around. So you're going to get to see half of it. So as it gets to about here, is when it shrinks, and it goes to roughly about half the size of this. So I was going to bring a line to sort of work out the rough sort of shape. So I want him to come down like this. So come down around here. I'm going to have him come up. I'm going to do a bit of an old school kind of twist. So it got curves a bit here. Then it's going to loop around like this. Come around this side. So you're going to get a bit belly on this side. And maybe loop back around, and his tail can come off up here, kind of like that sort of shape. So it's got this nice kind of flow to him, and this kind of also awkward sort of, sometimes this sort of shape here can be a little bit awkward, but it's really classic of kind of old school tattoo sometimes to have a little bit of like an odd kind of bend. If you start making it a bit kind of realistic and kind of like really kind of inventive, it goes a bit too more like neo-traditional. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're not going for neo-traditional, we're going for old school. So now we've got the rough sort of shape. I'm going to start plotting in details. So come down with his body a little bit better. So we're going to bring this line down. Mark this line coming around it like so. When we get to here, it's going to go behind it, so I'm not going to bother going over this part here. Just kind of carry through it as it goes through the body. Curve around there, kind of widen up this bit around here, and as it gets around this bit to the end of the tail, it starts to get thinner. And I'm going to come back on the other side now, leaving a little bit of space. So you've got this underbelly bit just going to be here, and this bit's going to be the outside part of the body. So it's going to curve around like this. Connect onto there, it's going to come through there, it's going to connect up here. And now for this particular sort of one, I'm going to keep the underbelly on the same side. You can have it sort of rotate where it kind of cuts down here and then picks up on this side if you want. But for this particular one I'm going for, it's going to get a really nice pattern effect where the belly stays on the exact same side. It all makes sense as we sort of do it, but it's a really nice pattern, it's a really nice effect, and that's what I'm going for today. And this one's going to curve up, and this is going to connect up with that part we've done there. This part here is going to come down, and this will just connect up onto this side just here. Make sure you've got like quite a bit of sort of space. Don't just being too kind of circular. You want to make sure it's got a little bit of length to it. So now we've got this kind of plotted in here. We can sort of work out the extra little details now. So I'm going to go into the face and start working out little facial details. So I'm going to bring this down a little touch. And I'm going to go for the face now. So I'm going to start off around here. So you've got the mouth. I'm going to bring this line coming in backwards. I'm going to curve it quite far back into this face. And when I get to about here, I'm going to create a little dip, so it just comes down a touch, and then from here I'm going to curve down off of it, and curve this outwards like so. Now the length's going to be a bit longer on this upper mouth than it's going to be the bottom bit. Not by too much, just by like a little bit. I'm going to bring this line coming back, kind of mimicking this outside line. Coming back over here, like so. When you get to the tip, I know it's not always traditional sort of cobras, but I always like to put the little kind of nose on my sort of my snakes. So I just put this little kind of sort of like little V shape just here, curving down. And what I'm going to do is bring this line back a touch. Now a little dip, I'm going to sort of curve it upwards like so. So it's going to curve into this sort of shape. I'm going to create this curve just coming off of here. So it's going to curve around from this to there. And the curve back, and this is going to keep going back, and it's going to get slightly smaller as it gets to about here. And then kind of maintain the same kind of size, and this is sort of like kind of curve shape we want to go for. So it's going to curve all the way around there. Then once we've got it done, we sort of work up where we want the eye. So where you've got this first little curve, this little gap space we have here is where I'm going to put the eye. So the eye is going to go in here. Just bring little lines on the back, just kind of sort of show where that sort of goes. And come off the back of the mouth now, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to create this little loop around, loop around, loop around. It's going to loop around the mouth, and then it's going to connect on that bottom bit, just come around there. It's just kind of gives a bit of the back of the mouth sort of shape, and just kind of brings the face back a touch. On the front here, you want your fangs, so I'm going to put in two little sort of triangular sort of curve shapes to create two fangs. So in the bottom bit, just here. I'm going to do a little curve line just here to kind of sort of show where his gum kind of connects up to this. Then his tongue's going to come out, so I'm going to have his tongue curving up, looping out. And make sure it comes away from the body. I want to make sure it comes up and away from the body. I don't want it sort of ending on the body. So it's going to curve up, it's going to flick into two spaces just there. And just behind the mouth, just here, I want to create another little secondary line. Now just to kind of mimic this bit here. Just to kind of sort of show as it kind of connects up around the back. You don't go too crazy with detail, you know, that will do the trick. And once you've got this done, you know, sort of get your belly in. Now I'm going to bring this neck back just a touch. Just to there. And for the belly, I'm going to keep this fairly simple, so I'm going to get this sort of curve shape just coming like this. And then once I get to here, I'm going to bring that, you know, this sort of semicircle shape like this. Now it's quite a similar pattern to what we're going to be doing on these back, you know, with this bit. So you want to make sure you make this a little bit bigger and a little bit more kind of curvy. Keep it roughly about the same size, and that's going to mimic the whole way through that body bit we've done through here. All the way to the tip of the tail. So it's going to go through the whole body, just like that. So it's going to go the whole way through. Once you've got it done, we're going to get this back short shape just here. Now keep this coming around the back, so I'm going to keep that curving around there. Like I said, it's going to come down the body a bit until you get to about here, and I might sort of make it sort of just fade a little bit. You know, you can keep this going the whole way around if you want. I think it was my initial plan to sort of do that. But looking at it now, I think I want to get like a bit more of a different kind of pattern. So I'm going to bring this down now, and I'm going to curve inwards once, twice, three. So you're going to have like a little bump in the middle. So you're like, imagine sort of doing a little ball shape just here. One there, one there. So you're going to curve around that, down, and up into that. Then I might have a little kind of ball shapes in between. I'm going to just repeat that pattern the whole way through the body now. So that there. So you're going to curve down, little dip, connect up, little circle, curve up, little dip, circle, curve up, little dip, circle. Now you can do any kind of pattern you want. Just once you kind of get a pattern, you know, I tend to just say stick with it. You know, the more you kind of change it up, you know, the more kind of different it's going to be, and it's just not going to have that same kind of pattern feel that we want for the whole thing. Once you got this done, I'm looking at what I might do. Just bring a little secondary line, just come down on the outside body just here, and just mimicking just down here. Similar how we've done this mouth shape, just a little secondary line, the same distance away from that underbelly, and that will go all the way around. Just following that body shape. You'll see it more clearly when I start putting the pen work in there, but just plot that roughly in there so you know that's roughly where it will go. Now this curve shape just here, you also want to make sure we bring it on this back side just over here. So that's going to curve down there. And then in these two parts here, you often get like a long kind of pattern. Now it's something kind of like this kind of oval shape. So you have like, you know, two kind of sort of curves coming to a point like this. Now it can be any sort of shape you want. You can kind of make it wiggly, but it's generally that sort of rough shape in sort of different kind of dimensions. So this one I'm going to curve up, and I'm going to make it a bit similar to that. I'm just going to wiggle it around. So I'm going to fish the gap nicely, and curve around there. So again, I'm just going to wiggle it around, curve there. And a little space on the inside, like that. I'm going to mimic the same rough sort of shape in the background just here, just as if it was kind of getting that space behind him, just there. You want to make sure you can hit both sides. Now, if it's just on one side, it just won't look right. So you want to make sure it does fit both sides. Now, once you've got to this stage, you've got to decide whether you want just a snake or if you want to add anything to it. You know, you can always add little sort of things, little kind of sort of blood spats, little sort of stars, roses, little flowers. You know, it's completely up to you. You know, I might say add a little sort of old school flower, maybe just like around here. Just for demonstration's sake, really. And maybe just one just over here, like that as well. Just like that, nothing too crazy. You know, it's just basically kind of filling the gap, really. Now I've got it done, I'm going to go into pens. They're going to see everything nice and more clearly now. So I'm just going to use my basic kind of Sharpie pen, just for this outline. And I might come in with the Unipen fine liner afterwards, just to put in some little fine detail lines Not too many, so most of it's going to be done with a Sharpie pen. Just like this. So I'm going to start with the face and I'm going to work around the rest of the body. So we're going to come in now, so let's get this line on here for the inside part of this mouth. Just around there. Curve that around there. A little bit for the nose. Just going to branch that shape up just a little bit there. Get that first curve just there. Second curve. Circular eyeball. A little bit just coming down the back of the eye, just off there. Get these little circle shapes just coming off the back of the mouth. Just kind of limit it down. And where I've got this line here, this line's going to sort of start off this kind of sort of back of the mouth, so it kind of connects up. So a little line there. Just get those lines in there for that tongue. Don't forget your fangs. A little line just in the back of the mouth, just there. And a little dot just inside the eye. Just like so. Okay, this line coming back like so. And down here. Just cut that around there. Now, don't feel like you have to go the same speed as me. I know I tend to go pretty quick with my line work, especially when I'm using a Sharpie pen. You know, it's just experience, you know, like it doesn't matter, you know, if it takes you 5 times longer than me, 10 times longer, it doesn't matter. Just kind of have fun with it. You know, don't feel like it's a race, because it's really not. Just got those lines around there. I'm going to bring in this outside line just up here. This line coming up here now. I'm going to do this little line we've done next to this line with a thinner pen. So where you've got these 2 lines just here, I'm going to do one bold, I'm going to do one with a thinner pen. So I'm going to do the one next to the belly as the thinner, thicker one. Then the outside one I'll do with a thinner. Like that, so look at it, it's got a nice kind of flow to that. Outside bit just there. Get those lines around. Get these little outside parts just here, curving down. And they can just generally get smaller as you get to that area, so just so they sort of like eventually disappear and go into the other pattern. So we've got that just there, so next I'm going to get this pattern bit just there, I think. And I'm going to come down and do the belly. So when you space these lines out, you know, try to keep them roughly about the same kind of space apart. You know, generally the more kind of similar they are in shape, the better. Let's get them around there. So as you get set, and then it starts to curve, so you get that sort of curve pattern. You can keep the line dead straight if you want to keep it going round. It's just a different way of doing it. Get that line around there. Get that line around there. Put that line around there. Get that line up to there. So now we've got the inside part of the snake, now we can sort of just do the rest of that belly going round. You know, I'm going fairly quick with mine, take your time, you know, sort of get it nice and even. I like to sort of just kind of let my hand kind of sort of dictate this bit as I get to it, you know, just kind of like repeating that kind of pattern. You know, once you kind of get the hand motion, you kind of get most shapes roughly around the same size. You know, it's not always going to be 100% dead perfect, but it's, you know, repeating that same hand motion comes up muscle memory, and you can sort of do it really quickly. So I'm going to get to about here, then that's just going to kind of merge into that bit just there. Let's get this back pattern going down the back. It's that same shape. Get as far as I can with that. Do a little kind of sort of circular one just in between these bits. You don't have to, I'm just putting it here just to kind of have a little bit kind of extra. You know, a lot of times these things I'll sort of show you, like I wouldn't necessarily maybe sort of put them in there myself normally, but I like to give you guys as many options as I can, just to kind of show you what you can do, you know, if you want to. Circle in here. I'm going to divide this circle up into 6. So I'm going to go line up there, line down there, roughly about the same kind of size. One there, one there. I'm just going to make this kind of wiggly line. I'm going to go around this edge, connecting these like so. Out, cut that back in. So curve out and just create a little curve towards the end, inwards, like so. Curve out, curve in, curve out, curve in. Now, just really nice, kind of simple, classic, old school ways of doing it. Again, I'm going to get a circle there. I'm going to divide into 6. So I'm going to go line up, line down. So you kind of get like a straight line, kind of going through the middle to begin with. Come out roughly about that sort of third-ish kind of angle. Again, just create a wiggly line. Just kind of connecting up the tops. Curve out, curve in, 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 curve out, curve in. So now we've got it done. That's pretty much all the stuff with the Sharpie that I want to do. So that's all the major bold lines done. So now I'm going to come in with my sort of a Unipin fine liner. So it's a bit thinner. Any sort of pen will do as long as it's thinner than what a Sharpie is. You know, I'm going to sort of put in some other little details just to kind of refine it and kind of add little extra bits to it. You know, it's really fun, just kind of adds a bit more to it. So we've got this inside part of the mouth. I'm going to create this kind of curve pattern, just curving through there, just like that. Where we've got these back scale parts, I'm just going to put a little kind of secondary line, kind of copying that shape. Coming throughout those. Now you can do all this with the same pen thickness, you know, and it will still look really kind of traditional old school. You know, old school you can sort of have, say, like sort of 2 kind of different kind of line weights. You don't really add anything more than that because it starts to take away from the old school kind of feel to it. But it's really good for these little kind of details, you know, I just think it's really nice to add these. So I'm going to get these on these scale bits just here. I'm going to get it on this inside part here, so I'm going to create a secondary sort of shape on the inside, just mimicking the outside shape. The same distance apart. Coming up there. And like I said, we're going to get this secondary line now, coming down here. Try and keep it about the same distance apart if you can. Don't worry if you kind of mess up a little bit. You're just going over because my camera's kind of in my face area, so it's a bit an awkward angle to do this. Don't know why I put my camera there. Let's put it like right where my face goes. I want to show it from my kind of angle, so it's easier to kind of have it in that angle, but yeah, it's a really annoying position for me. I think next time I'm going to put a touch bit to the side. So just keep going with the shape. That's it, just keeping it roughly about the same distance apart from the body. Now you're going to have a hard time getting 100% dead perfect, you know, just get it as good as you can really. You know, not even mine's perfect, you know, like, but I kind of like it to be that way, you know, because like no one's perfect. You know? I could redo this video 100 times, make sure it's 100% dead perfect, but I don't want that because I want people to sort of understand that, you know, no one's perfect. Everyone makes little mistakes. Every kind of artwork anyone does is always going to have one little bit, or two, or three, or four, or 10 that's not going to be exactly right. You know, and it's just a bit of kind of unrealistic expectations to kind of think that. So I never sort of edit my videos because I like to keep them that way, so people kind of realise that. You know, it kind of makes them human. You know, just that's part of being human. You know, we're not machines, so there's going to be a little error just every now and again. So if you do get that, people, don't beat yourself up. Okay, very important. Unless you're doing it as a tattoo, then make sure you don't make no mistakes. You gotta make sure they are perfect. So take your damn time on those. So see, I've got these little lines inside the flowers. That little line's going all the way around the back. You can put a little sun inside the belly if you want. I'm not going to do that though, but it's always a little thing you can do. You know what I might just do for these little bits just here, just, you know, as a little extra detail. I might just add a little V shape just in the center of these. Curving down and slowly shifting to the side as this disappears, and then just going to end on that one. You know, it's just a nice little feature just on that part of the belly, really. And I think that's it. I think that's ready for rubbing out your pencil work now, and then we sort of going into the sort of colours and shading. So make sure you give it enough time to sort of dry. You know, the Sharpie dries really quick, but Unipin fine liner that I used sometimes takes a tiny bit longer, so just make sure you've given it enough time to sort of dry, basically. So I'm just going to start just rubbing off the pencil work on the Sharpie areas. Just being careful not to touch my Unipin fine liner at the minute. Knowing me, like, I probably will touch it somewhere and get a little smudge. What I should do, like any common person, I should just leave this for like sort of 10-15 minutes and just come back so it's 100% completely dry and you won't make any mistakes. But I'm impatient, I want to draw it now, so I'm going to do it now, okay? So if there is a little smudge, just forgive me. It's just my impatience. It's funny, because I don't like when I do these YouTube videos. You know, normally I'm a very, very patient person, but I just really enjoy doing these and I hate having to sort of break my flow and kind of stop them. Kind of breaks my concentration a little bit, and I don't like doing that. I've got to add that little line just on the inside part there. Make sure you add that. I'm going to add that in a second, you'll see what I'm on about. It's basically the inside part for that just there. It's always one little line I miss. This is just a putty rubber. You know, I just like using them, just my favourite kind of rubber to use, really. Just make sure that pencil work is roughly gone. Let's put a little trace of it somewhere. Ain't too bad, though. So, yeah, I'm just going to add the little secondary line just in this part, just here that I missed. So it's just mimicking that body shape, just coming up there. Voila. So now we've got it done, I think we're ready for some shading. So for this, I'm just going to use Winsor & Newton brush markers. You can use pencils, paints, whatever you guys want to use. Now, these are what I'm using, Winsor & Newton brush markers. Very, very good, I highly recommend them. I'm going to start off with my black, and I'm going to use my CG 1 to 4, that's the cold grey tones. It's basically 4 shades of grey. You know, when it's, they're sort of slightly on the cold tone. You've got 2 variations, you've got the cold ones and you've got the warm ones. The warm ones just have a slight bit more of a warm tint, so a tiny bit more sort of like a fraction of kind of red pigment in there, I guess. And the colds are a tiny bit more on the blue side, you know, I generally prefer those. So that's what I'm going to use. So now we've got this done. Got to try and work out where you want to start from. So I think I'm going to start... I'm going to start in the areas that I know I kind of want blacked out to begin with, I think. So I'm looking at, trying to work out, you know, 'cause it's always nice to have certain areas that are just generally pure black. So I think my pure black areas, what I might do... I'm going to have black down the back. Should I make these bits black? I think I'm going to have them sort of almost fully black. So I'm going to bring the black in here. I might black them out, just give me a sec, I just want to test this first, see how it looks. See if I like it or not. Yeah, I quite like that. So I'm going to sort of up in pure black in this bit, just leave that little kind of gap on the outside. So for these ones, I'm just going to black in. And I like to put in the pure black areas first. It just kind of helps you sort of work out your contrast and your sort of tones. You know, I think it's much better to kind of go dark to light sometimes than it is to go light to dark. Because the problem is, if you've got light to dark and you've made your darks too light, by the time you get to it, you can't really change them. As well, if you go dark to light, it kind of really helps you to sort of decide if you are going too dark or too light with your lights. Now, you can always make your darks lighter. I mean, you can always make your lights darker. You can't make your darks lighter. Well, not markers anyway. You can't exactly brighten up black. I mean, there are little tricks you can do, I guess, but just, yeah, they're not practical. Going to get those gaps just where I can do, just like so. So I've got the pure black in those areas. You know, I'm tempted to do them in the top part of this as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to black these bits in as well. And then it kind of brings a bit of similarity coming down with it, so it kind of makes sense. So it's going to blacken those little sections just there. Just there, just there. Tiny bit in that one. Don't forget the other side as well. So I think that'll do it for the pure black areas. I don't think I want any other pure black areas in there at the moment, but I'll decide as we go. Actually, telling a lie. Yeah, I like that. That looks cool. So I'm just going to blacken a little centre part of these leaves on the outside. Just like so. Just like so. And what do you know? Just like so. So now I've got it done, I want to get my black shades now. So we're going to go into shading. So I'm going to start off with an area that, you know, is obviously going to be shaded guaranteed. So I'm going to start just here on this part of the belly. So I'm going to put in a little strip of black. I'm going to go down to my darkest grey, which will be my CG4. And just using a side-to-side motion like this, you've probably seen me do it before, you just go over the black. Just keep going over it a couple of times until you see it start to blend. As soon as it starts to blend, just kind of let it do its trick. You know, you don't want to overwork it too much. I'm putting it in here because this part of the belly goes underneath this. And this little shadow is just going to really kind of help describe that. Just like so. I'm going to do the same on the other side, just over here. Just bung in a bit of black just there. Get some of your dark grey. Just work it over the edge till it starts to blend. Then just work down way through the colours. I don't want to drag this out too far, so I'm keeping my shading fairly short with this little section. Just so that's enough kind of behind it, so you can see you kind of get a sense of this now sits in front of this area. And I'll do the same thing with just here and just here as well. I just think it looks better that way. Just kind of, you know, I like that little sense of depth without it sort of taking away too much from the old school. I don't want to make it realistic, but a little hint of realism goes a long way. So again, just go through there and just work your way down your shades so you blend that out. Same on this side. Be careful you don't sort of lose any sort of little details. So where you kind of got your fangs and stuff, you don't want to kind of lose those. Ooh, wrong shade. And number 2. And just blend it out with number 1. Now the colour work will do a lot of it as well, you know, but we like to give like a little base with the black to begin with. And once you've got it done, I want to get some black throughout the body and stuff, so what I'm going to do is little blacks just coming down the back of him. So in this little gap here, I'm going to start in this little gap just here. Bring it down a fair touch actually, because I want a fair bit of black for his belly. So get a nice kind of sort of chunk of it just there to begin with. I'm going to work more grey around, and I'm going to just sort of shade in the same kind of curve as the body is. So I'm just sort of following the sort of direction that the body kind of goes in, rather than using sort of straight dimensions of it. So just there and there. I'm just going to blend down through here. Sometimes it's nice to leave these kind of little highlight areas. So although the back's shading in, I'm sort of leaving that bit blank. You know, it really kind of sort of breaks up the detail, and it's very classic of Old School sometimes to have that sort of happen. You know, it's a very kind of purposeful sort of thing. But it's really nice, you know, when you got like all the black and then you got this nice kind of sort of really bold colour against it. I mean, I haven't decided yet, but I might have that, say, like a golden yellow or something like that, which could look really cool. So I'm just going to carry this black throughout the whole of the background and carry this black through the black area. Sorry, carry this black through the back area. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say, people. I'm so tongue-tied today. If I just black, brown and stay soft, that doesn't make sense. Just kind of ignore those little bits. You know, I kind of talk as I do this. I don't sort of script anything. Everything's kind of live, so not everything's going to come out exactly how it's supposed to. And I often get my words a bit jumbled, so... yeah. If something doesn't make sense, it's probably because it doesn't make sense and I've just said it the wrong way. Like I said, I don't go back through it, editing it and stuff like that. So I'm just keeping this kind of grey tone, like I said, just following that sort of snake's body shape. Just kind of curving with it. You know, I don't want to lose the direction of the body. That's very important. I really want to keep that sort of shape to it. But when you get down to your bottom shade, like if you're using like this one, you use the CG one, like your lightest grey. Just always remember, I've said it pretty much every video in that, but when you first use it, it's going to wet the paper, so it's going to look darker when you first put it on than it will when it dries. So don't keep going over the same area. I'll give it a chance to dry, and a lot of time it'll pretty much fade next to nothing really. You know, if you want to completely fade out where it goes absolutely to nothing, you can use like a blender pen. I'm not a massive fan of blender pens. I don't really tend to use them that often. Not there's anything wrong with them, I just don't feel like neither of my prefer to sort of blend colour to colour. You know, I'll sort of shade to shade. The only time I will use sort of like a blender tip, and that's if I'm using, say, the chameleon pens, where they're sort of really kind of designed for that. You know, I stick to using these kind of ones though, because chameleon pens are sort of special ones, and not everyone has those kind of really, you know, but if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend them. Chameleon pens are very, very good. They have this like very special kind of blender tip, so you basically connect it to your pen, you leave it on there for, say, sort of like 5-10 seconds, and then when you go to use it, it'll be transparent at first and slowly come through, so you can just get like a perfect blend out with any kind of colour. You know, they're very, very handy. Drop my pen on the floor. I don't know if anyone else does it. Do you sort of do the thing when you sort of draw, you kind of hold all your pencils in the same hand? Like when I'm drawing, I do this. I hold every sort of colour I'm using in my hand and just take it one by one. But 9 times out of 10, I end up dropping you know, 1 or 2 of them. Especially when I do like a lot, you know. I think sometimes I hold like sort of like 10 pens in one hand. And I don't understand why, because I've got plenty running up on the table. I could just put it down, but I don't. Yeah, is that something you guys do? Or am I alone on that one? Probably alone. But here we go. So we've got that going around there now. So I've got that nice little black shade on all around the back of the body now. And I want to get a little bit just in here. I feel like it needs a little bit of black just in these kind of areas. I'm not going to put too much, so what I might do is just bring in maybe a little block, just say like around here. I might kind of fade this out, and then a little bit just on that bottom section just there as well. So I don't want to go through the whole thing. So I don't want to lose that eye detail. But I think a little bit here might be cool. So I'm going to add a bit of black just here. Put my grey over the top of that. Just kind of like so. Get that on the other side there just as well. Go down to my number 3. Go down to my number 2. Then down to my number 1. Yeah, I quite like that. It's got a nice kind of sort of shade in there now. Just kind of thought it needed that a little bit just there, and just a little bit just underneath this part of the chin. You know, when you sort of get, you know, the black's really good, sort of like kind of separating sections and just kind of making it look the way you want it to look. Now, sometimes an area is just too bright, just too much on show, and you don't want it to be. So let's keep bringing this down. Don't know if you heard that. It's my little boy ran down the hallway like a lunatic. Right, so I know I got that done. I think that's all the kind of black I want in the body. So there's a little bit I just want to do now just on the flowers, I think. So I'm going to get tiny little black strips across this bottom. Very little, I don't want too much on this bit, so it's a little bit on this bottom. And I'm just going to fade up just a little bit around the edge. Just like so. And again, it's just going to make it feel like it kind of sits behind that flower. You know, so it just gives like a nice kind of layer feel to the design. You kind of feel like, you know, certain things are in front of each other. The only one I'm not going to do that with is the flowers. Although the flowers are kind of sitting behind the snake, I want them nice and bright, so I'm not going to do that on those. They are going to be an exception to that rule. You know, you can do it on those, but I just don't want to. And I want them being super bright and super colourful. So now I've got that done, just got to look at this. Any little areas I feel like I might have missed. A little bit of black just here and a little bit of black just in that mouth section, so I'm going to put a little bit just there. Not much, just a little bit just there, there. And just fade that out to nothing. And I'm happy with that. I think that sort of does it for my black and greys. I don't feel like I need anything more black and grey in that than those ones. So I'm going to put my black and greys down now. I'm going to my colours. So I've got to decide which colours I'm going to use. So I'm now going to use my favourite red, which is my berry red. Love that red colour. Also might sort of fade that out a few little bits. So I'm going to get some pink and some pale pink. Sorry, not that one. Actually, that one. So berry red to rose red to pale pink. For the body, I think I might use my mint green and my turquoise. I really like that colour combination for the bellies of sort of snakes. Got my amber tone for my yellows, which I really like. And I might use a little bit of fire brick just to sort of go around a few of those edges with. And that'll do it for now, and I'll decide the rest as I come to it. But I'm going to start off with these colours. I said you can kind of use whatever you kind of have handy, really. You know, haven't got to use these exact colours. But these are the ones I am going to use for this. So one goes up there. So also start with the ones you know you want a certain colour. So I know I want this belly to be red. So I'm going to start off with the red to begin with. And I want the tongue to be red, so I'm going to start with, just bung that in there while I'm there actually. I'm going to go to this belly. Now you can do the whole belly completely red if you want. I'm going to leave a little white strip just on the edge. Just there. And all the way across. Just each one of these, I'm just going to do that little white strip. And just fold it across like so. Bring this across like this. Just kind of repeat this pattern the whole way through. It'll slightly change a little bit as we get to the curves in the belly, but not too much. I'm basically just going to bring that sort of shape around the curve. So in a minute it's kind of nice and flat because these are nice and flat areas. But then I'll just follow that kind of rotation to the belly as we get to that. So this one can kind of be like this, and then this one. Curve around like this. This one I curve there. Again, just there, I'm going to keep this kind of rotation going like this. And by the time we get to the end of it, it just gives us really, really cool like pattern effects, you know, which I'm really big fan of. You know, I said you can sort of put more rotation in the belly, so kind of belly switches sides. You know, but this is just a really nice way of doing it. You know, keep it on the same side, just gives a really cool effect. Going. Just like so. I mean, you can do these underbellies different colours. You know, pretty much any colour you can do these. You can do these like yellows, oranges, blues. You don't really see them green. I can't really say I've really seen a snake belly that's been proper green. Maybe there's sort of like a slight variation of that, you know, like a sort of mint kind of green. But like a grass green, you don't often see that. I don't know if that would work properly. You know, I probably will do it in some sort of situation. You might be able to make it sort of flow. If you do, send me a picture of it. I'd like to see it. It's just not something you see very often, you know. I can't really say I see it done at all. You know, just because something's not done doesn't mean it can't sort of work. It just means in general it's very hard to make work that way. Either that or someone just hasn't discovered or thought of it yet, but 9 times out of 10 you can sort of, you know, be sure that someone's probably thought of it beforehand. You know, it's very hard to come up with anything kind of original in this world at the minute. I'm going to put some red just in this little centre bit, just up here. Just there. So now I've got that red bit in the belly. I'm going to go further back. So I'm going to use turquoise and I'm going to use the mint green. So I'm basically going to use the turquoise coming over the dark parts of the grey. And then as it sort of fades down to the lighter grey, then I switch into the mint green. I want to make sure I switch into the mint green before that grey starts, and it's going to help me kind of blend it. Now for this little section here, I'm going to go all the way to the edge of the line. When I do it here, come around here, when I get to about here, I'm going to start kind of fading it out, and I might not necessarily touch the edge, but we'll see as I do. You know, I might not, but in my head I'm picturing myself not doing that in a minute. But sometimes that changes as I start, so I don't want to sort of promise that. Let's just see how it goes for the next minute or two before we decide to commit to that. Putting that around the eye. There. Around there. Then I'm going to get this turquoise coming over this dark edge just down here. bring this up to say about here, so we kind of sort of blend into that wall. I'm going to blend this up. It's going to go into that bit just there. Curve up, and now I'm going to make the call where I'm going to sort of join it up or not. And I think I've decided to join it up. It's one of those ones that looks good, cool both ways, so I just kind of made a judgment call down. I want to go for it. Plus, it probably makes it easier on you guys, you know, so that way you ain't got to worry about leaving that edge the whole way around it. Now, what may sound more complicated if it doesn't need to be. Just going to bring this colour the whole way around the snake now. Like I said, you can do this other colours. You can do the back in blue, you can do it in green, purple, leave it black and white if you want. You know, I just love this particular colour combination for snakes. I just think it really complements well against the red as well. Bring that down around. Get that around there. Bring this around the whole body. Just keep it going. And you'll be there before you know it. If you do a pattern as well, and the kind of pattern kind of leads into an area where it's going to create an area a bit too kind of complex or a bit too overcrowded, sometimes it's okay to leave it. Like where I got this body would probably continue just here. But that would have means oh, this pattern with the tongue and the face, and I just feel like it would have been too much, so it's fine to leave those little areas at times. You know, if it's going to overcomplicate the area, you don't want to kind of make it too crowded, so it's perfectly fine to leave certain little areas like that. Just going to bring this up, and as I get to the end, I'm going to make the ends just colour that with a turquoise. Just keep bringing it around, just like that. And that's the outside of the body done now. So now we've got it done. I'm going to put these two down. I'm going to come in with the fire brick now and the amber, these two colours. I'm going to get these going. I'm going to sort of flick in a little bit of fire brick first actually. Let's just commit to that just a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit just here, a little bit just on the end, and kind of blend that into it. So it just adds a little bit of darkness to the edge. Just keep this going around the outside edge like this. And this is like I really love the transition. I really like the transition of this into that. I'm going to do this for a few little bits. I'm going to do this down here. I'm going to go just from the top area low and down into the yellow on the bottom. And that way you kind of sort of don't lose the red area. So you don't want to lose that red center. Just like that. Bring this down as part of the body just here. Just bring that down there. Let's keep this going down this way. Once it gets about here, I might sort of just add a little bit again, just like a little bit, you know, just every now and again. Just add like a little bit of shadow to it. You know, you can get the whole thing completely yellow if you want. I just like to break it up with a little bit of that fire brick that, you know, look kind of a bit of a sort of brownish kind of tone. No, I think it's just nice. It just kind of gives a nice kind of effect to the yellow. Do that also around here. Do it also around here. It's pretty much like mostly just in the darker area, so where it comes from a shadow. But if it's a really long strip, then just add like a little bit just in a long strip. So like where this is a long area, I just add a little bit in there. But an area like this where it's not so long, You've got a little bit from both sides, so you don't need to. And again, just a tiny bit just from there. Just from there. Yeah, we're pretty much building it up now. It's pretty much getting there. It's narrow at this stage. I'm going to go for... Should I add fabric in that bit? I might just go solid actually. So yeah, inside this gap here, what I'm going to do is go kind of fabric. Fill in the space. Same as what like the underbelly is. Just like that. Then I'm going to add the yellow around the outside of that, just so it's a little bit separate from the belly. You know, it's almost like a transition of colours where it's almost kind of mixing, but I don't want it to feel like it is completely mixing. So yeah, so you get a nice sort of transitional kind of vibe. Once I've got that bit done there, I'm going to sort of check my colours and see if there's any other colours I want to add. No, actually I think I'm going to go yellow for the top actually. So a little bit of fabric on the corner of each one of these. Just where it kind of goes underneath. Just like so. Just bring that around. Just bring some nice kind of colour symmetry to it as well. Just around that. Then once I've done that, there's actually two other colours I want to grab. I want to grab my lilac. So where's my lilac gone? Grab my lilac. Grab one of my blues. So I'm going to get blue, and the blue's going to come through this part of the flower. Just want a colour that's going to kind of break it up and not feel like it kind of mixes too much. I've got a lot of yellow now, I've got a lot of red, so I think blue's a nice way to go. Purple would have been fine as well. I mean, you can make it red as well if you want, you know, like in sort of yellow if you want, but it's just, you don't want to go too kind of crazy with one specific colour. So sometimes fragging a different colour just really kind of breaks it up. I'm just leaving this little kind of white edge just across the edge of it. Just like that. Gonna get a little bit of blue just in this mouth part just here and here. But that's not going to stay that way. So now I'm going to go over red so it turns into a bit like a kind of sort of purple tone. Grab that lilac. Flick a little bit just inside that back area, just here. It's a very, very subtle colour, but I really like it. And once I've got that done, I'm going to go yellow, 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 and all those little circle bits. Go yellow in the centre of the flowers. And then I'm going to grab me forest green, just for those leaf bits. And find that blue straight away. And then I might grab an orange for the eye. You know, usually if I do any colour, I like to make sure the colour sort of like is in one area, well, at least in two areas, or have at least a colour that's similar to it. So the green works really nice because you've got the mint green through the body, so you kind of feel like get a sort of colour symmetry between those. The only time I will say that I like a colour to be on its own, and that's sometimes when it's say like in the eye, I think it looks really nice. So it's got a little bit just inside this eye. A little highlights in the corner of it, just like so. Close that up. And there you have it, people. That is how you draw an old school classic cobra. Now, I hope that's helped. You know, it's a pretty fun one. You can always add more pattern work as well. Like in the background here, I've got this kind of sort of plane. You know, I really like how it looks when it's plain, but you can also put in like sort of scales. You can put in sort of cross-hatch pattern come down. You can add a little more detail bits, little kind of sort of line dots. You know, there's plenty more you can do with it, but you know, sometimes simple is better. And I just think this looks really nice. It's really crisp. It's really clean. You know, it would just make a great tattoo, something like this. So I hope that's helped people. I hope you like it. Make sure you check out my channel. You know, if it's your first time to my channel, make sure you click subscribe. You know, I've got hundreds of videos on there to help you guys. But if not, just cheers for watching, people. I really appreciate it. And I hope that's helped. So for now, I'm The Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.